Minister, there's actually two related questions. We may not have time to get to the second one in relation to the operation of the Caranua scheme. The first one's dealing with the terms of reference of the review. Now, the legislation which gave rise to the scheme provided that it would be reviewed after 2 years. You are now the third minister to have this brief, and to my knowledge, it hasn't been reviewed as of yet. When I asked you in June, you told me that the terms of reference would be set in July and that the review would take place in the autumn. We're almost at the end of autumn and none of the groups have been consulted with as far as I'm aware, so I'm looking for an update on that.
Sure. Well, thanks very much indeed. I'm told that the terms of reference and arrangements for review are being considered, and I'm hopeful that these will be finalised shortly. The review will be confined to the issue of eligibility and will have regard to the level of uptake of the funding available to Caranua. In that regard, I understand that over 50 million of the 110 million earmarked for the organisation has already been expended in the provision of funds. It would be my intention that the review will have regard to the views of all interested parties, and I would expect that draft terms of reference will be published and submissions invited from the public.
Thank you. Minister Deputy Daly.
Well, I mean, I will look forward to seeing them. I suppose there's a couple of things with it. The Minister said that it'll deal with eligibility. At the moment, it's only open to people who originally got an award under the state redress scheme. Are you saying that they are looking to expand the numbers of people who could potentially avail of it? In our, I suppose, contact with people, the criteria of services that people can access is critically important as well, but also the whole way in which people are consulted with. We're dealing with incredibly vulnerable people who are abused at the hands of the state, and to be quite honest, the manner in which many of them feel that their cases are being addressed with by Caranua are almost akin to a re-abuse of them, because they feel they're not being listened to, they're not being updated on their claims, and they're being effectively kept in the dark and treated poorly. And I would certainly say that in terms of the customer service charter operated by Caranua and the lofty aspirations about treating people courteously, listening to people, giving timely information, none of those things actually have been the direct experience of survivors. So will that be part of the review also?
Minister.
Well, I understand that Caranua does endeavour to ensure the greatest support to the residents involved and to deal with people in a fair and equitable way. In terms of the review, it will certainly look at issues such as the extent of approved services to those who have made application, the way in which it has been promoted to eligible people, and the potential changes to eligibility to include other groups or categories of assistance. So it will be a review that will look at the operation and to hopefully make sure that it's used, the money available is used to best effect for the clients involved.
Thank you, Minister Deputy Daly.
I mean, obviously, it's massively delayed. This is years overdue, the review. As I said, you had told me you thought the terms of reference would be July. Can we take it for absolute certain that the terms of reference will be published, for example, by the end of this month? What's the likely time frame for the review? And this will not work unless there's full consultation. So what process is going to be embarked on to actually make sure that the information that gets out there, and that those service users who've interfaced with Caranua know that their input can come in, because they're the best people to say whether this scheme is working, because they've had the direct experience. And if we block out their knowledge, then we are on a severely rocky road with this one. I mean, the scheme is not, the full amount has not been handed over by the residential institutions. It follows the reports in the paper earlier in the week about the shortfall in terms of the state redress scheme by a matter of hundreds of millions. There's 25 million yet to be put into this scheme. But, you know, the idea of capping the amount of people, for example, is quite reprehensible. So who will actually decide? Where will the terms of reference come back to? Who will make the decision on it?
A minute to conclude.
Well, they will obviously come to me for approval, these terms of reference. I think the reason for the delay is, Caranua, this was to be 2 years after the operation began, and as you acknowledge, it didn't begin to accept applications until the 6th of January 2014. So, if you like, the start-up delayed the review date. But I think we are certainly the purpose of this will be to be open to those who want to make their views known from their own experience, and that will be a part of the terms of reference.
Thank you very much. Question number 32 is in the name of Deputy